Hello.
Thank you so much for being here on Spark TV. I am so excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It's very exciting.
It is so good. We have known each other for, oh my God, in various walks of life. I want to say, because we went to the same high school, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is insane. This is insane. So I'm so excited to share your story because I love that, paths cross over the years and, now here we are again, on the same mission to do great things for women in business. So I am stoked to have you here. Let's just start out by telling the fabulous folk who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So I'm Kirsty Jackson. I'm co-founder of Freelancing Gems, and we are on a mission to see more women access the career of their dreams. So it's not a small feat. We know that we have a huge mission ahead of us, but together with my co-founder, Fleur Madden, we are deeply passionate about closing the gender pay gap for women in consulting and for women broadly. So that sustains us.
I love it. Why? Why women? Why do you love us? What's the go? How did you actually get into this?
It's interesting. I think I started my career working with a very strong female leader, and I think that shaped a lot of my experience in business. And I moved on from that into probably less supportive working environments for women, and so that was quite
very diplomatic.
Yeah, it was. Told this story a few times, so I know the diplomatic way to deliver it. So I think that that was quite jarring of an experience, and I hadn't been exposed to that before, and so I didn't just go into business with the expectation that, oh, this is how women are meant to be treated in your workplace. I had something different, and so I think that's where that passion probably started from. That I knew it wasn't meant to be this way, and that it had to be different for women. And I think then, since then, in a few of my other positions, I had the opportunity, or I was the first woman on the executive team, the first woman in the workplace to take maternity leave. In marketing, a lot of the times was recruiting younger team members who are at the very early stages of their career, and my job as a leader was very much to support them through the growth of their careers, whether that's in the workplace we were in or moving on from that. So I guess I took it upon myself I remember saying to one of my bosses in the past, I want to be a trailblazer for women in this organization. It's a very male-dominated industry, and I'm the first one to take maternity leave, and I think there's an opportunity to really project for the women here what their careers could look like and pave that path for them. Now, that didn't turn out to be the workplace where that vision could come to life, and so it was a conversation with Fleur. Fleur and I have actually known each other my whole life. Our parents are best friends, and while we didn't,
I didn't know that.
yeah. So while we didn't grow up as active friends together, because we were different ages, we both had babies together. Our first babies were only about a week apart.
Wow.
So we started talking around that time. And that's when, I started talking to her, probably more as like a mentor figure for me, around like what I want out of the workplace. And she was in semi-retirement after she'd sold her PR agency. And so it really evolved from there. And we're both really naturally passionate about women, and wanted to create a product that didn't have a ceiling, wasn't selling time like a consulting agency. Originally, we had this idea of like an umbrella agency where organizations could come to one place to get all of the services they need, say to launch a brand, but we had the legals and the accounting and the trademark attorney and the branding and all of the other elements that they needed all under one roof. And so, and that's what Freelancing Gems is in a digital capacity.
Yeah,
where we could support more women. So I think I was born with it.
I love that. And you mentioned marketing as part of your career history. So what industry were you in, and what role do you play in Freelancing Gems now? Is it the marketing vibes?
Yeah, so at Freelancing Gems, I am co-founder, I wear all of the hats every single day. But
You do?
yes, but my focus of my role is marketing and product development. So I have a marketing events degree. So that's my bread and butter. That's what I've done my whole career. Probably about 6 or 7 years ago now, I stepped into startup marketing. Or in the tech space. So moved much more into product marketing, digital, very much only sort of digital marketing, and away from that broader brand marketing, although that's always there in the background. Always part of it. Chicken and egg situation there. So yeah, at Freelancing Gems, I get to do my best work as a marketer, and I have always had a keen interest in tech, and I was one of 8 girls at Loretto in the computer science class, and almost did an IT degree before I got pulled in a different direction. So managing the product development, I guess just gives me that sort of like analytical outlet that I have there as well. So and it's so much connected to the customer experience. So, it's a perfect position for me where I am responsible for the customer experience and the marketing experience, but I can create the product how I want it to deliver that experience as well.
That is like one of the amazing things about being in startup world. Like you can actually make the impact. You can actually draw from your customer feedback and make change like ASAP. It's so good.
Yeah, I would be the worst employee of a big corporate now, or government. I think I lasted like 2 years in government, which was really long, 2 years, and got out as soon as I possibly could, because my husband works for a lot of government clients, and just listening to the meetings and the story, I can't do it. I couldn't. It's such a waste of time.
It's really interesting. And so, well, I mean, do you think there's a big difference between, so drawing from your corporate background, corporate marketing, being a marketing employee, and then having a startup, having a business, and being in charge of marketing for that business?
Yes, I think I can move faster because I don't necessarily need to convince the people around me of the value of marketing. It's interesting. I don't know why, but it feels like marketing is this first division that execs know they need to bring on, but it's also the first division that they feel they can just turn off and on like a tap. I mean, that language was used with me once in by the CFO. Marketing is something we can turn on and off like a tap. And so I think that carries through. That's true of a lot of organizations. So, Fleur has a background in PR and marketing. And so she's not someone that I need to convince of the value of marketing, which is your role as an executive, absolutely. And as marketers, we are storytellers. So we should be able to use those skills to convince the key decision makers or our team, if we are on that exec, the value of what it is that we want to do. But I guess so it just means I don't need to have those conversations. I can move faster because we all get it.
Yeah, it is so interesting. It always blows my mind. I know, obviously Spark, where actually I'm all scrunched too. So all my businesses are sales and marketing related, but it is really interesting. You do find that through difficult times, sales, marketing, advertising are the first things to be cut. And then people can't understand why their sales are declining.
Yes.
Go, it must be the market. You've stopped talking to the market.
And maybe it's how we package up. Like when we're budgeting and forecasting, we've got this like cost of sales section where like definitely operations is necessary, accounts, development, that's all really necessary. But there is this like, what about acquisition? And how marketing is involved in the retention of that, or the customer experience. I think customer success team, customer experience team are starting to blend into that cost of sales line. But so maybe the questions around like, how do we get more of our marketing efforts up into that cost of sales section so that it's completely wrapped up in the cost of delivering?
Yes. That's genius. I think that you
Very
have
happy
just
answer.
solved it. You just solved it for every sales and marketing person on the planet. I love that so much.
Move your expense line into the cost of sales and you're done.
That is
Like,
so
forever.
good. I love it. I love it. So obviously at Freelancing Gems, you work with a lot of amazing women in business. So obviously freelancers are inherently business owners, whether they call themselves that or not. What do you see? What have you just noticed, I guess, over the last couple of years, trends for freelancers? Do you think now is the time to be a freelancer? Do you think now is the time to get a job? Like, what's your vibe on the market?
Yes. It's funny. I think if we had this conversation 3 weeks ago, I'd answer completely differently. But number of conversations we're having at the moment, we all feel that the cost of living is outrageous right now. And, I think I've worked it out that when chicken is sparse or expensive, cost of sales, the cost of living is through the roof because
It's too high. It's way too high.
Yeah, too meat. Everyone's after the chicken. Everyone buys the cheaper meat when petrol's too high. So, when Woolworths is having a chicken shortage,
We know we're in trouble. Yeah,
we know we're in trouble.
absolutely.
So in saying that, what we have found, so we launched Freelancing Gems mid-COVID, August 2020. We started playing with the idea the year before, and then really I started getting serious about it late 2019, but really when the pandemic hit in March, that gave us a deadline. We said to ourselves, okay, this is something that women are really, really going to need now.
Yeah.
There's going to be how many women stood down, retrenched,
Yes.
out of work. So we really moved fast to get the platform up and running then. And for us at that time, we had some great success because we know with brands like Flight Centre, their marketing team of 50 plus people all stood down except like 3 people.
Yeah.
And so we were there for many of those creatives, jumped straight onto the platform. For other women at that time, they had been playing around with the side hustle. Their role was made redundant or they were stood down. So they had capacity to give it a good go. And by joining Freelancing Gems, they now have fully viable businesses where for some of them, even their husbands have quit their corporate role and come on with them as well. So that was a really good time for women in contract work then, because also, of course, there's all of these recruitment freezes. And the alternative is a contract start that comes out of this other magical bucket of funds and gets around. I
love that magical bucket of funds.
Yeah, the magical contractor bucket. And it's happening again now. So cost of living. So that was a pandemic. That was, pandemic reasons. But this one now is cost of living is so high. So there's brands like the beauty retail brands, etc. Banks, like mortgages are slowing down. This retail boom is correcting slowly over time. And so for them, business has really slowed down. So for these, say, for example, big beauty brands, they're back to recruitment freeze. And so we're seeing their jobs jump onto our platform because the opportunity, again, is for contractors to take those on from that magical bucket. So I think there's always a right time to start freelancing or contracting. Now is a better time than any. Kind of when the economy is doing it tough, freelancers have the opportunity.
That's so cool. Which I think is awesome, right? It kind of almost puts the power back into your hands, as somebody who might be feeling the pinch of the cost of living crisis, like being able to actually say, well, stuff it, I'm going to draw on my skills and throw my hat in the ring and try and generate some more income for myself and stop relying on my employer. I think it's kind of awesome. I mean, sucks about the economy, but kind of awesome that, we do have that opportunity to kind of put our own destiny in our own hands.
Oh yeah, and we just had an open house here at our new office space today, and the women were from all different industries, all different stages of their careers. One woman just quit her full-time job a few weeks ago, no prospects, lots of ideas, has freelanced in the past and just wants to chase her passions again and to do work that matters. So, and that was like, everyone's at different stages of business, but everyone could relate to that story. And then there's other women who have been consulting and freelancing for 25 years, and still doing that now, but maybe moved back looking for a local network. So everyone had different stories, different stages, but everyone could relate to each and every person's story. So yeah, it's true, there is so much freedom in freelancing, and still corporate business is not built for not built for a sustainable career, sustainable work-life balance. I think people have, what COVID has been good for is people have more of an appetite to chase balance. I don't know, balance is a weird word for a mum. It doesn't exist.
I don't know if it exists with
Juggle.
business owners or mums.
Yeah, it's absolutely business owners. We were just talking about that today. I mean, if you're going to go out and start a business, it has to be something that you're truly and deeply passionate about, because that passion will sustain you through the high capacity that you have to work at. Like, you are going to have to work nights, and you are going to have to work weekends, but you'll want to, because that's what sustains you, and that's what gives you drive, and it's where you want to spend your time, especially like if you love your clients you work with, or if you're loving your, like, say if you've got a small team and you love working with them, it's just the same as going to lunch with your girlfriends. If you love your work that much, that's what will sustain you.
I love that. It is so true. You're right. I know it's funny. I think people get a little confused by the Instagram memes that go around, like with the balance and then the hustle, and some people are in one camp, other people are in other camps. And I do feel like it is difficult, especially in the early days, not to have to put in a bit of hustle to build your business. So yeah, I love that idea that, actually going after something that you're deeply passionate about to make sure that drive does sustain you is so important.
Yeah, and that's what you need in the beginning, especially if it's something on your own. 80% of us freelancers work on our own, and so that stuff's really hard to carry on your own if you're not super energized about it.
Exactly. And where do we think this is going? So you guys have just created a study. You've just done a massive survey with the Urban List. What came out of that? Where do we think the world is heading here in the terms of future of work?
Yeah, so one of the major, so there were 3 sort of different chapters to the report. One looked at the remote revolution and what that really means, and how do we make that stick, and what about working remotely or flexible work is actually really important to workers. Another one was wellness at work, and so that one's really about how the onus is on the employer to support the mental health and wellness of their employees. And how where the opportunities are there. And that comes back to that element of we were talking about earlier of community, and how important community is to find in the workplace, community and connection to find in the workplace, where no longer are we getting it from traditional areas of our lives like church or from our local neighborhood.
Yeah.
And for me, I think there's so many pieces that have come out of that report, but for me, that first chapter that we looked at was, is passion the new promotion? And so that was really it was it was a question that we asked early on in the survey, and it was really about finding, I guess it was really about testing the market on what truly is important to them now post COVID, or on the other side of the pandemic, although it feels like it's always going to be here.
It's always lingering, yes.
Yeah. So the report found that when looking for a new role, like 76 respondents said that salary is really important, but while in a role and happy in a role, or working in their own organization, that dropped super low. Like 1 in 10 people said salary was important.
Wow.
What they said was important is doing work that matters. And so, yes, purpose is the new promotion. And so if there is an opportunity for employers to really assess what the purpose of their product, of their like brand, what is the purpose of their organization, and do their employees connect with that purpose?
Yeah.
So is the work they're delivering giving them purpose in their personal endeavors or their career?
Mm.
So
It's so important as well, because I feel like as business owners, when you get to that stage where you've got a number of employees, you sometimes forget how much you actually need to reinforce what the purpose is, what impact you are trying to make. It gets very easy to have the time pass and for everyone to have deliverables, and working to their KPIs, working to their tasks. Sometimes I think employers forget to actually reinforce the purpose and link it to their roles. So that is so interesting that is what people are valuing, that it goes beyond money. And people, I love that people want to do work that matters. That's cool.
And maybe that's looking at, there's so much talk around KPIs or OKRs or whatever your metrics might be. But definitely what's important now or for the future is, what are those impact measurements?
Yes.
And so you're saying, like, connecting them to that purpose, connecting them to those impact measurements. So for us at Freelancing Gems, how many women have we got into work? How many women have we closed their gender pay gap for? So that's something that we survey quite frequently at Freelancing Gems. You come on in year one, at the end of year one or midway through, we're asking, are you charging more? Have you increased your rate? Do you feel you're charging what you're worth? We're asking those questions all the time. And we know that 76% of members after that first year have given themselves a pay rise.
That's so
that's
cool.
Really, and that's probably the key impact metric for us, and how we can connect everybody to that purpose and keep it front of mind as well.
I love it.
Get wrapped up in that day to day.
Yeah, exactly. That is so cool. And look, I, testament to Freelancing Gems. I'm a Freelancing Gems member. And I have got work off Freelancing Gems for Scrunch Agency, through Spark. Like, it is the best network. And I've just met awesome people. I think that, we talk about community, and you relied on that, for work with your teammates. But when you're a solo freelancer, or, like me, living in a remote location, that community element of bringing people together and fostering conversations. And I think that is severely underrated as well. It's hard to put a metric around that. That's one of the things.
I'm trying to work out how to measure how much work is done between the Freelancing Gems members. So far, I haven't nailed it, but I'm trying.
I think it's so important, like that community element. It's not just for me, it's a little therapy sometimes, which is always needed. But that just, cross promotion in terms of members. And, I get my email however often with all of the amazing faces in your community. Oh, amazing. I need one of those people. I need one of those people. Like, I think that it's really interesting, the fact that we can actually get that as a business owner or a freelancer through a platform like Freelancing Gems. We don't need to actually be employed and try and gain that community from a workplace.
Yeah, completely. And that's I'm glad to hear that experience of yours, because that's exactly our purpose, our job is. I was saying to the women today at the open house, it is our job to promote your service. So tag us in whatever you want. If you've got content, we're happy to share it. It is our sole purpose to put you guys on a platform and to put your name up in lights. So, and absolutely, the impact that we have for you as a member is those connections that you gain, the work that you gain, the success that you reach in business. Because women in business experience unique challenges. We know that, and we, Fleur and I, are the team to deliver this mission, because we have those same challenges, but also as employers, we've seen we are both customers on both sides. We're the freelancer, the consultant that's had these challenges, and we're the employer on the other side that wants to connect with skilled, available, standout female talent or women, and just need one place to find them all.
That is so
because we're time poor.
Totally, exactly. We're also trying to build an empire on a schedule here.
Yes.
But interesting segue. So I'm interested to know then about your experience in business. Obviously, we know the importance of the market in which we're living, but what about your lived experience? So how was it for you going from employee to business owner? And I know you're a mom as well. So how do you navigate building this business, championing this mission, being a mom? Like, have you navigated this space? Have you found any challenges along the way?
Oh, of course, yes. But so I come back to that passion piece.
Mm,
And what's probably so passion, of course, you have to have that because there's a lot of late nights and this and that. And especially when I was working in a full-time role and starting to play around with this idea,
mm,
any work that I did around this idea was late nights and weekends. And, you know, it's that deep work in the very beginning as well. Like, let's do a full research project on the customer profiles, what that looks like. And that's my jam. That's the stuff that I do and brought to the table. So, and then of course, you know, we're putting the brand together on the weekend and all that sort of thing. So passion for sure, but perseverance is probably the key element required of any startup founder. Because I would say the biggest challenge for us in business has been the investment journey.
yes.
And I know you know that investment journey well as well. It's a real roller coaster ride, and it is a real test of resilience and perseverance,
Yeah.
and of confidence as well. But I think what's helped us in that area, because you pitch your business a billion times, you get a billion really long, lengthy no emails. The no emails are usually the really long ones. They come at weird times, like it's not during business hours. Yeah, we've had a lot of them. Now I'm wrapped up in that experience. Lost my train of thought, but
No, I mean, I think it's interesting to even like put a pin in because it kind of illustrates as well the amount of things you have to do, be aware of, think about, become an expert in as a business owner. Like when you're an employee, you don't suddenly go, oh, well, now I know how to do the marketing, how to do the finances, how to go out and raise capital, how to build a tech product. Like you're like just right in the trenches trying to figure it all out. It's really fucking difficult.
Yeah. And what I say, I think I would say like almost every day, no, I have no idea how to do that, but I'll just work it out. And so it has to be, you have to go into a business with that attitude that it doesn't matter if you don't know how to work it out. It doesn't matter if you've never built a cash flow model or you've never done financial forecasting or you've never done a BAS or any, like I'm a creative. Finance, banking is not my jam, but it is now because it's my finance and it's my banking. Yes. So that's again when I think it comes down to when you're building. I mean, I call freelancing Gems my middle child.
Yeah, that's what I
put
say.
just as much time and effort and energy, and she's kept me up just as much at night, and
it's so true.
just as labor intensive as my two boys on either side. So yeah, you just give it a go. You just have to go into it with an attitude of I'll work it out.
I love that. And you are so right, because I also don't think that ever ends. I think that there's, you know, an interesting thing. I think we have kind of these rose-colored glasses on at the start where we think if we just push, at some point the floodgates will open and life will be amazing. But I just think like the bigger you get, the bigger your problems are. You know, there's just more things to deal with. Like you really do. I love that. You do have to have that attitude of I will just figure it out and everything will be okay if we just keep persevering, keep moving forward, because we are doing something amazing here.
Yes. And I think what's so important, I mean, early on in the journey, I heard the tip of ensuring that you have a like folder on your dashboard of your client testimonials or great
I love
feedback.
This one. Yes.
Yeah, and it does work. It is so important. So I get say for example, I get the Google testimonials direct to my inbox and will respond to them. And I'll never change that path because that is so important for me as a co-founder to stop and remind myself of what it is that we are delivering and that we do have absolute product market fit. We have proven the model and we are delivering on our mission for these women in real life. You know, these women have had real life major changes where we've been they use words like, we've been a lifeline for them. They are able to spend more time with their children, say, for example, or like that other example where their husbands quit their corporate job and they're both working in the organization together. We have made that change, and we have delivered on our mission for so many women. We've got over around about 1,000 members now on both sides of the marketplace.
Yep.
And so we are making a real impact for those people. And that is so important when you're consistently getting no's from people who honestly don't connect with the problem that you're solving.
Yeah, I know. I've said it a couple of times recently on the podcast. I have this I've just been really reflecting on, venture capital investment, how little women get invested in. That's, seems to be declining, not even improving. And I just have this feeling that it's going to be us. It's actually going to be women that solve this problem for women. There's a few interesting crowdfunding platforms that have just come out that only fund female-led businesses. And I saw one, I thought, that's it. That's going to be what happens, is it's going to be us successful female founders reinvesting in the next group of female founders. And there's going to be a few of us that go, we're fucking sick of this shit and solve it ourselves. So
yeah, although
that's my fortune telling.
And it'll be really good to reflect on in 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's do that. Although Julia Spicer, who is our current chief entrepreneur in Queensland, told us on the panel at our International Women's Day lunch that women founders who get investment from other women or women crowdfunding platforms, anything sort of specific to women or grants, etc., are less likely to gain future investment.
Really?
Because what? That initial investment, if it's by a woman, is sort of discounted as like, oh, that was like sisterhood. They didn't really assess. So it just completely discounts the value of the startup in assuming, oh, it's just like a sisterhood thing. It didn't even really assess if it was a viable investment. So, and that's our story at Freelancing Gems. We have our investors are females. And as well, we're not just female-led, we're only female-led. So our founding team is all females.
Yeah.
And we're solving a women's problem.
Yeah.
And there's a massive gender pay gap, especially in VC investors. And so all the men have money, but they don't connect with this women's problem that we're solving.
Yes.
And so, yes, a rocky roller coaster.
Don't they talk to their fucking wives? I've sworn a lot in this podcast. This is
yeah. Oh, I tell you, it's a passionate topic.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be frustrating, right? Like, this is not a small problem. This is a huge problem that you guys are solving. It
impacts 50% of the population.
It blows my mind that people don't understand the size of this problem and the impact that you're making. I know things will, you guys are amazing. You are the ones for this job. So I have no doubt that you'll get everything you need to make it a giant.
I think that's the problem, though. I think I find it's such a big problem that as soon as you mention it, you kind of feel like half of the room's like, oh, yeah. But I mean, people have said, oh, gender pay gap, what can we do about it? Other people have said, is it even really like they don't believe in it?
Wow.
Like it's like a religion or something?
Oh, my God. Yeah. Totally. And it's like, yeah, we've proven it. We have the stats.
There's like legislation around reporting on your gender pay gap now.
Yeah, exactly.
We can help with.
That's hilarious.
Everyone needs help with that, apparently.
Yes. Oh, well, I can imagine. Oh, you are absolutely incredible, Kirsty. Thank you so much for being on Spark TV and sharing your wisdom, sharing your journey with our amazing female community. How about we leave this on one last note? Any advice for a female founder who might be struggling in their business today? Any words of wisdom that hold true for you on this journey?
Yes, absolutely. That tip of truly go put your testimonials into a folder somewhere, or better yet, get them on Google, because Google loves a review, and that's going to do really well for your business, your SEO. But with any of those hesitations, meet them head on. do what you would for a client, say, for example, explore each of them, identify how you could overcome each one, and then make a plan to test ideas that will take the least amount of effort and make the most impact. So say, for example, maybe you're time poor. Why don't you carve out 4 hours a week to spend on your new business or invest in a course to upskill? But I think my biggest takeaway would be to stay curious and to just start exploring.
I love it. I love it. You're incredible. Thank you again for being on Spark TV, and we'll definitely reconnect in 12 months to see if we've solved all the world's problems.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's been so fun.